Hi guys, I'm John from Aptis Tutor, and today we're going to look at a writing test for the Aptis for teachers. Okay, let's start off straight in there. And the first question, the writing test, task 1, we suggest that you spend 3 minutes on this part. The first questions are: you're going to a conference about teaching English in the classroom. You have 5 messages from another teacher who is attending the conference. Write short replies between 1 and 5 words to each message. Okay, so where's your school? In the city centre. And what do you like doing after work? Watching films on Netflix. Okay, so our advice is try to give a full answer as you possibly can, rather than just one word answers. Your favourite day of the week? It has to be Friday. And what do you have for breakfast? Okay, you could put coffee or tea, but something like a bowl of cereal, and then you've got a chunk of language and a collocation as well. And finally, how many students do you teach? Around 200 in total. Okay, around is a synonym for approximately or about. Okay. So part 2. So remember, for the writing, the same as the Aptis General, that all the writing tasks are linked on a theme, and in this case it's going to a teaching conference. Okay, so before you go to the conference, you have a form to complete. Use 20 to 30 words and tell us about your students and what subjects that you teach. Suggested time is 7 minutes. So remember is to answer the question. So the things they want in this question are about your students and the subjects. So make sure you include those things in your answers. My students range from ages 13 to 18 and come from a low socio-economic background. There are roughly 30 teenagers in each class, and I am responsible for teaching STEM subjects. Okay, so it's within the word limit. Remember, don't write more than 30 and don't write less than 20. Some interesting vocabulary: a low socio-economic background. Roughly is a synonym for approximately. I like this phrase too. It's I'm responsible for teaching. So to be responsible for doing something. So part 3. During the conference, you have the opportunity to chat online to the other participants. Talk to them using sentences, use 30 to 40 words for each answer, and the suggested time for this is 10 minutes. Okay, so the key thing is it's chat online. Okay, so your language should be informal and should sound chatty. It should sound as if you are talking to the person. Don't use the type of conventions that you use when sending WhatsApp messages either. Okay, so first question is somebody's asked is, why did you choose to come to the conference? So again, it is the why, so the reason you came to the conference. For a couple of reasons, really. Firstly, to learn some new classroom techniques and to share ideas of good practice with other teachers. And secondly, because I think it's important to keep up to date with the latest methodology. A couple of things here. Okay, we got a couple of, so you're setting out, you got a couple of reasons. And then you're signposting with firstly and secondly. And some interesting vocabulary in here too. So good practice and up to date and latest methodology. Okay, so these are the type of words that you should be using to get a B2 mark. What's the most interesting talk that you've been to so far? Right, so again, the most interesting talk is the key part of the question here. It was on how to implement CLIL methodology when teaching maths. I had no idea about this before I attended the session, but now I feel much better prepared. It was also presented in a very dynamic way. Okay, so the question's been answered and you're using specific vocabulary too. Things like CLIL methodology, to attend a session, to be prepared in a dynamic way. And the last one, what's the most difficult thing about teaching? Some teenagers don't want to be at school, so they make life difficult for everyone around them. Not only that, but class sizes are just too big. If the numbers were lower, teaching would be much easier. Okay, so again, we've got some specific vocabulary to do with education. And and at the end, you finish off with a second conditional to, which demonstrates to the examiner that you have some control over the grammar too. Okay, and now for the task 4. You see this message on the conference notice board. Dear delegates, we are writing to inform you that for reasons beyond our control, the closing plenary will take place in room 452 and not in the main hall as advertised. Unfortunately, this room only seats 80 people, with standing room at the back for another 20. This means that in order to get a seat, you will have to come early to queue. Notes from the session will, of course, be made available online to those who can't attend. We are sorry for this inconvenience and hope you understand. The organisers. And so the first question is, write an email to your friend who is also attending the conference. Write about your feelings and what you think the organisers should do. Write 40 to 50 words, suggested time 10 minutes. So if it's to your friend, the style should be friendly, informal, and use contractions, and it should sound as if you're chatting to your friend too. Okay, so it's the two things. So it's your feelings and what the organisers should do. Hi Petra, have you heard that we won't all fit in for the plenary? I think that it's a bit unfair, don't you? Why can't they just divide us into 2 groups and do the session twice? We've all paid the same after all. Let me know, John. Okay, so we started there and finished in an informal way. You mentioned your feelings. You think it's a bit unfair. And what you think the organisers should do is just have 2 groups. So the question's being answered. Some interesting vocabulary. You start off with the present perfect. On the second line, you've got a question tag. And and another present perfect to finish. Okay, and the second part is write an email to the conference organisers. Write about your feelings and suggest a better solution to the problem. Write 120 to 150 words, and our suggested time is 20 minutes. Remember, answer the question. Keep to the word count, and your language should be formal, no contractions, use paragraphs and connectors and linking words. Okay, so we start off with Dear Sir and Madam because we don't know the names of the organisers, and we finish off with Yours faithfully. Okay, that's the convention if you don't know the name of the person who you're writing to. And as you can see the 3 paragraphs. Got your introduction, second paragraph has furthermore, and the last paragraph has finally. So these cohesive devices link your email together. Okay. Dear Sir, Madam, I am writing in response to the announcements you have made about the closing plenary. While I understand that changing rooms is obviously unavoidable, I must say I'm a bit disappointed, and I'm sure you could find a more appropriate alternative than first come, first served. It is hardly fair that those who arrive last will be refused entry. Everyone has invested time and money in this conference and deserves the same treatment. Okay, so you've mentioned your feelings, you feel disappointed, and it's a bit unfair. You feel that people aren't being treated fairly. Furthermore, there may be some delegates who are unable to stand for that length of time, not to mention that some people may not have seen the notice and will be unaware of the need for arriving early. Finally, perhaps I could suggest that you divide the delegates into 2 groups and repeat the session. That way, nobody would miss out and a last-minute rush would be avoided. Yours faithfully, John Harrop. Okay. And in the last paragraph, you suggest a solution that the delegates are divided into 2 groups, and that way nobody would miss out. Okay, so you got lots of grammar, lots of different grammar structures in the questions answered, and the style is formal too. Well, I hope the video's been useful. There are we're going to be uploading lots more videos. Also, if you go to the webpage, the website, www.aptistutor.com, you will find lots more information and test and practice tips. Take care and stay safe.